So guys, how many of you can remember this video that's shown on my screen right now? We are so said that P2B is a packaged liar. That means that P2B is a liar. That everything P2B have told us are all lies. But I have a message, or I say a response from Magus Oracle to Sowore. But first of all, let me replay that video for those that have not watched it to take a listen and hear what Sowore said in a public space, and then I'll let guys take a listen to that response by Magnus Oracle. Take a listen, guys. I'll be with you guys in a minute. Don't forget to add your views in the comment section.
About someone who Nigerians, or most Nigerians at least on the surface level, has accepted P2B. So this is the contrast, right? P2B has been known by Nigerians, not on the national level, but at least I'm from Anambra, so I know P2B. I've known P2B for as long as, you know, before he ran and when he was governor as well. I was in Nigeria then, so I know very well who P2B is. And I'm also one of his biggest critics as well. At this little level I'm operating at. But one thing that we cannot say for certain is that on the surface level, at least on social media, at the youth level, most youths or most people on social media, they've accepted P2B. What are your thoughts on P2B?
So guys, before I guys to take a listen to what Sowore replied on that thing that was asked, I would like to get your opinion in the comment section, because this video will even shock you and shock me too, because a lot of things that Sowore said, I don't agree with that. And let me get your views in the comment section, by the way.
You know, there's something that I've also seen as a general strategy to promote P2B is to insert him into every conversation that people like us have, knowing that, but you know,
the reason why
I'll put it this way, you understand? Except somebody who doesn't know numbers, even the acceptability of the P2B you are talking about pales in comparison to Buhari's acceptance when he first ran for office, in which he got 12 million votes against Obasanjo, and I think Obasanjo got 24 at that time, even though we know they made up the numbers. He ran again. That 12 million votes has been a constant or a recurring decimal in figures. And that time there was no social media, but these votes were coming in. So he was also seen as the most accepted person at that time, as against those who win elections. So, but like I said, I think the strategy these days is to inject P2B into every conversation so that you can keep the myth that is accepted. But if you look at the numbers, I'm talking about their own numbers now, it doesn't look to me that this assertion is true. You can say that about some young people. You can say that about even some old people. You can say that about certain demographics, Christians, for instance, and some of course Christians, Northern Christians, who, in their response to the Muslim ticket, was looking for somebody and he fits into their bill. But if you want to have a honest conversation about acceptance, I don't think you're diving deep enough to get it. But you have excused it by saying this is on the surface. Yeah, so, social media. So, but you know that's
it's not real life.
It's not real.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
In terms of even the outcomes of their own elections. Yeah. So that's how I see it. But you know, now that you got him injected into this conversation.
But what do you think of his personality? What do you think of him?
You know, see, I know him as far back as 2007 or thereabout, when he was cheated out of the governorship at first, and you know, he was introduced to me, not in person, but his situation. Yeah. By a friend of mine I respect a lot, of Ken Dibe, like from Anambra State as well. He's a great writer. And he said, this is P2B guy. We were all in the US at that time, and he's been cheated. And we went to work. He was, never met him. In fact, I met P2B for the first time with Chinua Achebe. Wow. At an Achebe lecture several years later, I think, when he was now already governor. So he came and he was telling Achebe, Ojukwu was there too. And he came back. This was the day I knew that Ojukwu spoke Yoruba fluently, because I interviewed him. Okay. And it's still on the internet. And he said to Achebe, I'm meeting Sowore for the first time. this guy was the one who made me governor. And Achebe is like, yeah, I'm not sure, because Achebe and I were close. His family, myself, before, he died. I mean, I sought Achebe out on my own. He's someone I've always loved. His books and his intellect. Yeah. So, and then Peter Obi said, can we meet upstairs? And I said to him, please, I'm not doing all this meet upstairs. And my witness was his person at that time, Valentine Obinyam. That was his special advisor on publicity. Very rabid guy like that. So, and a few years later, they came and said, this guy is such a substandard, liar. And we started evaluating Peter Obi's performance and found out that everything you heard in terms of publicity, and that's the way he was packaged this time around, was the opposite. Substandard buildings or things that were never done. They were packaging him.
Mediocrity.
Yes, it was mediocre. We got upset. And we started digging into it. I'm telling you, for the first time, to his governance, and found him to be a fake, as fake as they come.
I agree, 100%.
And he got upset. They went and printed posters in Anambra State. I think it was done by, Valentine, accusing me and Okedibe of being gay partners. So that's why I also knew that all the social media rabid attacks, he endorses it.
Yeah.
That's how he operates. But, he'll maintain dignified distance.
Yeah.
And act like, if he sees you, greet you like.
Yeah.
But besides that facade, Peter Obi can lie.
Yeah.
When we were running for election, I noticed something about him. If Peter Obi wants to take a private jet, he will go and enter through commercial place. So I greet everybody, you think, and then they'll bring a vehicle and put him to go to the private jet area. One day we arrived and we came to campaign, and I think we're both in Lagos. We arrived on the same flight. This one was a commercial flight. And he waited for me. Maybe they deliberated at the entrance of the plane. And I greeted him. By that very time, we took pictures. I had not left. I posted the picture of myself, and these people like, Sowore has bowed down for B. But here is the next part. So we entered the vehicle. I saw him mention a vehicle, and I followed. Turns out he was going to the private section where they treat VIPs.
Oh.
And then saw him with a whole coterie of, I said, but you came alone, and they were all there. Apparently, those ones probably flew on a private jet.
Okay.
But he decided to fly commercial. And I now asked the guy who was driving, because we were in a car, a Hilux van. I said, let's wait and see what Peter Obi drive, because I was actually expecting that he was driving, was the Innocent Motors.
Okay.
Peter Obi had nothing less than 10 big Toyota SUVs waiting for him. There was this Mercedes Space Boss. And I was telling myself, why do you have to lie? So why do you have to cover up all this? Nobody's going to be upset with you that you're a presidential candidate if you have a convoy. But look at this trajectory. And that packaging is his style.
Yeah.
And if you want to get away with finding out, then he'll send his people after you. Yeah. So when you saw that I stood my ground in 2023 against him, I knew him. And he knew that I knew him. But there were guys who were against him in those days who didn't have the courage to come out again because they were afraid of the backlash. And they did a fantastic job of scaring everybody.
Yeah, for some people, it may work for some people. For some others, it only adds the fire to them to keep on speaking out.
So that's like I said, you wanted to hear this. Now you know it.
No, I've always known. The reason why I bring it up is kind of linking back to what we said about before. Like, for me, I always feel why did they choose Obi, at least on the surface level?
Let me explain to you a very succinct explanation. And see, after NSAS, Anybody who is a student of politics or history knows that the young people who fought a system they never thought could capitulate, because the system capitulated under NSAS.
It was shaky. Yeah.
They was shaking to its core. And they saw it. They usually go for power. And when that happened, he was presented to them as the new face of the struggle. And it was all packaging, like I said. The elites came and said, look, if we allow one young person or all these young people to go with a person we can't talk to, we are finished. So they had to invest in that. And that was what produced him. And the people that did it know themselves. They were the NSAS connoisseurs. The people who made it through NSAS, who became popular NSAS, they all rallied themselves together. And I was aware when they were planning it. But I said, how can you do this? Because this guy is establishment boy. Those were the first set of people that started attacking us. And I can mention their names. Aisha, we were in a group. Macaroni was there, Deji Adeyanju, Aisha, Faz, Femi Falan. We were in a group after NSAS, and Aisha kept saying, whomever is here, you should go and run for local government to House of Rep. And one day I called her, I said, who's going to be president? She said, I don't care. Just make sure that anybody, we go and take over. So I called our people, I said, look at the game Aisha is playing. They already have a candidate. At that time, I didn't know it was Peter Obi. But they had been working on that ground before that time to present him as a candidate. And they had prepared who was going to be a stumbling block and how they were going to attack everybody and overwhelm everybody so that nobody can oppose their decision. It was a tyranny of a minority.
Yeah.
Even Wole Soyinka confessed to me that he fell for it up to a point. He's like, I was almost endorsing this guy. And then he woke up one day and his name was all over, and he said he was asking, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? It turns out they just picked on him for no reason. And he became, even though he didn't participate in the election, he became, the most ridiculed person after the election. That was what got him upset.
Yeah.
And he said, if this is my last assignment on earth, I'm going to let people know who you people are.
Yeah. In an ex-species you did, he talked about OBJ bringing out P2OB so that Atiku will not win. Kind of didn't understand what you meant by that. Can you explain what you meant?
I'm a student of history and power.
Yeah.
I have followed meticulously the history of at least 7 presidents in Nigeria, starting from Babangida, followed by Shonekon, who was in power for 84 days before we drove him out, and then followed by Abacha, that's number 3, followed by Abdul Salam, that's number 4, Obasanjo, number 5, Yaradua, number 6, Jonathan, number 7, Buhari, number 8, 9 actually now, with Tinubu. And I hope I become the 10th person, so that I can wipe all of their memories away from you. So what has always happened is that there's a power structure of people who believe they own Nigeria. And they truly do, if you look at how they have succeeded so far. So in the scheme of things, if you ask Obasanjo, who do you hate most between Asiwaju, Tinubu, and Atiku? He hates Atiku most because for him, Atiku was someone who had a dagger, who trusted in his chest but didn't kill him. For him, Atiku was Brutus. And when the opportunity came, they looked at it and said, what is the way these votes come in a way that we can overcome Atiku? That's Obasanjo now. And he decided maybe Obi might have been what we call a Manchurian candidate, a candidate who didn't know that he was being supported. I don't know if he is or not. So, and they decided that, look, if the Southeast is left there without a spoiler. There's nobody who can defeat Atiku in Nigeria in this next election, because they barely survived Atiku during Buhari's second term, and that there's no amount of tinkling we can do. So let's bring in Obi. These young people already think he's a good guy. He's packaged them very well, and he would suck away or suck out the votes that could have gone to Atiku. There's no way anybody in the Southeast was voting for Tinubu. Nobody in the Southeast is voting for a candidate that brought a Muslim ticket in the Southeast or South. In the course of doing it, the Christian minority in the North lashed in on that and voted massively for Obi. Obasanjo's dream came to pass. But look at it, even the arrangement that INEC made, even in allocating the votes, Atiku, who barely campaigned because we were all presidential candidates, in those days, I once asked him, I said, why are you, that's why they say I'm rude. I saw him, I said, why are you still running for office? You could barely move. He looked at me and said, Sowore, just move, get out of my face. Because during the last election, if Atiku moved one leg, he would stop. Like he needed to catch a breath. He looked like, I think I tweeted about it, that he looks like a bag of cement that, had become spoiled. So how Atiku, without much campaign, was able to have 8 million votes? But if you were to add that to half of Obi's votes, Atiku, they would not have been able to explain defeating Atiku in the election. Do Obasanjo hate Atiku? Yes. Does he hate Tinubu? He does. Does he hate Atiku more because of their unsettled problem when he was vice president to him? The other part is that the part of Nigeria who's like, we just had 8 years of a northern president. How can we go and vote for another northerner, regardless of? That was how the issue was solved. So when you hear people saying, somebody else was working for Tinubu, they are the ones working for Tinubu. And look at it. Who was Obi's president, campaign manager? It was chosen by Obasanjo, late Doyin Okupe. In fact, it was Doyin Okupe who contacted me to support Obi.
Wow.
And I tweeted about it at that time. And I told him, I said, never in your life should you call me again. So I said, do you not remember what you people did to Abiola? And I never heard from them again. But don't forget, in 2019, when I was running for the first time, Obi himself had called me to support them. And same thing that was my response. I said, so you mean after all these years of exposing Atiku, I will now come and join a corrupt ticket? Because we're discussing this now, a lot of Nigerians have small memory, because that's the reason they don't teach history that deep. You see, most people didn't know that you were expelled from a university. And that was how I heard about you for the first time.
And you were helpful to me back then, yeah.
Do you know, I was checking yesterday that one day I was about to travel. Yeah. This is the last part before you wrap up.
Yeah.
In the US, and they said somebody was being expelled from Redeemer University.
Okay.
And I wrote on Twitter that this person was expelled from the university because he criticized the vice chancellor. And I was so livid because it reminded me of my own part. Do you know who that person was? Macaroni.
Yeah, Macaroni, yes.
So, and he was recalled back, nice. Based on that campaign we did. So I'm always happy. Yeah. And this is to wrap up the whole thing about how it is important that even when you don't know people, you can respect them.
This man they call Sowore, what exactly is your problem? What exactly is your problem? Nobody is saying you should not be the president of the Federal Republic of this country, of Nigeria. But trust me, you're not going to go anywhere. There is no state in this country you will win. You're not going to win anywhere. You're not going to win anything. But that does not prevent you from contesting, because some people can be perennial contestants and perennial losers, and they pride themselves for being just getting that title, a one-time presidential candidate, and somehow it gets into your head. I see you are a very arrogant person. You're a very arrogant person. It's okay to be arrogant. There's no crime to be arrogant. But what I don't understand is why the fixation and this persistent accusation of Peter Obi. Why does it do? I mean, what do you benefit by constantly trying to water down Peter Obi when the same Peter Obi has never, in fact, Peter Obi hardly mentioned names. He hardly mentioned names. Rather, he could make indirect remarks, but he hardly mentions names. So what Peter Obi is not in charge of Nigeria. Peter Obi is not in charge of the policy-making decision of this country. Why are you attacking him? He is not the president. Anything that is wrong about this country is not the president. In fact, in the next election, Peter Obi might not even be your biggest adversary. So why Peter Obi? Or you think if you take Peter Obi out today, even if Peter Obi does not run in the next election, you will not still win. Sowore, you will not still win. Yes, you may have this facade, this aura created around you that you are a rugged, you are an agbero, you are looter. You're not cut out. You're not ripe for it. So I strongly suggest you stop this childishness. I rather call it childishness. For me, it's just mere childish tantrum. What you have been doing will not shake this man. The man has been quiet. He's doing his own thing. You do your own thing. You want to be president? Fine. Do your thing. But if you think bringing Peter Obi down will narrow your way into becoming the president, that perhaps is the most foolish thoughts ever I believe you can accommodate in yourself. Now, I know I'm sure this video will get to you, but you must understand that, look, Nigeria is at a precipice and cannot condone these childish tantrums that I see associated with you. Come on, I know you are educated. I know you are bigger than this. I know you can live up to a more appreciable demeanor than this constant fixation on one man that doesn't even bother about you. Come on. My name is Magnus Oraka. Please follow this page and share this post now.
You get to like this man, Magnus Oraka, because the man always have points. Because tell me why somebody will come out in the public space and be lying against somebody because of you are envious of the person. Peter Obi is the most recognized politician in the whole wide world from Nigeria. Peter Obi. Imagine Peter Obi was invited in Rome. Peter Obi, that is not even a leader in Nigeria, have no level in Nigeria. Just a mere candidate, but he's worldwide recognized by people. And then somebody out of anger, out of hatred, trying to say things negative about Peter Obi. He can go on and talk high or how long he wants to do it. The fact that Peter Obi is loved and recognized by Nigeria remains that Peter Obi is the best candidate in the whole wide world. And they even told him that he can never win the election. He should not bother. Forget all these things that he's doing. Because you come to lie against somebody, show that you are very envious of that person and angry of the person's success. Because it's the public Peter Obi said that he have attended. I think I will also bring Peter Obi, the video of Peter Obi I will also bring to you guys. Peter Obi handle this issue of business class and economy. He said that he only enters business class when he's traveling a very far country like Asia. But once he saw this Lagos, he enters economy. He was so blunt that he made it clear, but somebody went ahead to pick up what he wants to pick up and come out and lie. That Peter Obi never enter economy. Peter Obi always enter business class, lying up and down against somebody because of hatred. But let me get to views, my fellow viewers, and let me know what you think about that video in the comment section. If you guys my video, but you can keys what help us grow by doing was subscribing and sharing our video. See you guys in my next video.